The search for the next offensive coordinator for the Pittsburgh Steelers is officially on. The Steelers have officially requested to interview pass game coordinator and quarterbacks coach for the Los Angeles Rams, Zac Robinson. I'm going to let you guys know his resume, his pedigree, and why I think that would be an excellent hire for this football team. And then also Cam Heyward on his podcast may have slipped who is going to be the favorite to win this job here, the offensive coordinator for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And you know what? Coop's on his day off today, so we actually have Eagles fan Chip with us today. And he told me that there is no way that we can top his last video with his channel there at Eagles Now. So Chip's helping us out today at Steelers Talk. We appreciate Chip, but guess what, baby? We are getting more likes than you, Chip.
There is no way, 0% chance these Steelers fans can get more likes than Eagles Nation, baby. Not going to happen. We're way bigger than y'all. I don't see it coming. No chance.
As you can see, Chip's got a pretty big mouth here, so let's shut it for him right now. Click that thumbs up icon, like today's video, and let's beat Eagles Now in our like battle today. All right, so let's get into today's meat and potatoes, starting with the first interview request to be the next offensive coordinator of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and it is pass game coordinator and quarterbacks coach for Sean McVay's Los Angeles Rams, Zac Robinson. And personally, man, I think this is one of the more qualified people out there in the National Football League to get this job. Number one, of course, he's had the experience here. Now, obviously, Sean McVay calls the offense there in LA, but Zac Robinson actually called the plays during the preseason, so he knows what goes into being an offensive play caller. He understands what goes into that role, and obviously he's been around Sean McVay in that offense, which has been absolutely fantastic. We'll talk about that McVay system today a little bit, but also he was reportedly the runner-up for the Bears offensive coordinator job. Of course, the Bears just hired Shane Waldron, the former offensive coordinator for the Seattle Seahawks, today. And the fact that Zac Robinson was reportedly the runner-up to him tells me that he is probably next in line to get a job. And because he's getting so many interview requests around the National Football League right now, I think the Patriots are interviewing him, a couple more. I think the Raiders are as well. There's a bunch of people that are interested in potentially getting Zac Robinson as their next offensive coordinator, and it looks like the Steelers have just been added to that list. The scheme that he runs is a third-generation West Coast offense, kind of in the McVay style. We're going to talk about what that means here in just a second, but first off, let me know down there in the comments section. Grade the potential hiring here of Zac Robinson to the Pittsburgh Steelers as the next offensive coordinator. Put it on a scale of A, B, C, D, or F. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. So YouTube's going to throw you an ad break at some point during this video. That's how the YouTube platform works, guys. So when that happens, take advantage of that time by going down into the comment section, finding that pinned comment at the top of the comment section, and give me a grade for this potential hire. So you take a look at the Rams offense here over the last season, and listen, this is an offense that was kind of on the downward trend coming into the 2023 season. All right, you had Cooper Kupp, he was kind of dealing with some injuries. The offensive line was in complete shambles heading into the season, and then Matthew Stafford as well was dealing with elbow stuff last year, and it looked like he might be cooked. But you look at the numbers this year for the Rams offense, and they're top 10 in most offensive categories there other than giveaways. But at the end of the day, man, this team really, really did a good job, in my opinion. Sean McVay, of course, is the leader and kind of the mastermind behind it all, but it's definitely worth noting that Zac Robinson worked directly with Matthew Stafford this year, who had a bounce-back season this year, and in my opinion, he should win the Comeback Player of the Year award. People thought this guy's career was over, and Matthew Stafford, with Zac Robinson as his pass game coordinator and quarterbacks coach, and Sean McVay as his offensive play caller and head coach, was able to completely revitalize kind of that youth that he had. And he looked like the same kind of quarterback that won the Super Bowl a couple years back. Absolutely fantastic season for Matthew Stafford this year. And you look at these Sean McVay disciples around the National Football League, the guys that come from the McVay tree usually end up having success in this league, whether it be as an offensive coordinator or whether it be as a head coach. All these guys have done a fantastic job in the National Football League, designing offenses, getting the most out of their quarterbacks, and I think Zac Robinson could absolutely be next in that line of McVay coaches here from this tree. Now, when it comes to a Sean McVay offense, we've kind of gone over these staples a couple of times on the show, but because Zac Robinson runs this offense, I think it's worth noting once again, you're going to see a lot of 11 personnel. So it's going to be 3 wide receivers, 1 running back, 1 tight end is what Sean McVay really likes to run. And then that slot wide receiver, what's really important in this offense is that slot wide receiver needs to be able to be a really good run blocker. Then also they love to run outside zone. Everybody knows this about Sean McVay. They don't really run much else. They'll throw in some stuff from time to time, but really their bread and butter is outside zone. They like to have those types of running backs that can cut. And I definitely think that's a good fit for this Pittsburgh Steelers running back duo here, and Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren, particularly Warren. And then also I think it's good for Kenny Pickett because you got those play-action bootlegs, you got those easy-to-read flood concepts, and then you got the nice backside digs to help them out as well. Very quarterback-friendly offense here in LA, which is why Matthew Stafford has had the best years of his career here. You look at a bunch of other, Jordan Love is playing well in Green Bay under Matt LaFleur. Kirk Cousins is lighting it up there with Kevin O'Connell in Minnesota. Joe Burrow's playing so well there in Cincinnati with Zach Taylor. This offense is a really, really quarterback-friendly offense, and I think that it really does fit Kenny Pickett's skill set. If Kenny Pickett is going to be successful in the National Football League, I think it's going to have to be with a West Coast system. This system with the play-action bootlegs, it's going to get him on the run. The simple reads are going to be able to be good for him because he's not really somebody that can go across an entire field and go a full field progression. So I definitely think this offense is a great fit for Kenny Pickett. If this organization is dead set on having Kenny Pickett as their starting quarterback in 2024, I think it's got to be a West Coast system, and I would be absolutely stoked if they paired Zac Robinson with Kenny Pickett. I would be intrigued to see if Kenny can get better in this type of system because in that true pro-style offense that they were running under Matt Canada, it just wasn't working. He wasn't getting through his reads fast enough. He wasn't making correct reads. Of course, he had the accuracy issues. He didn't look comfortable in Matt Canada's offense. I think this is the type of offense where Kenny Pickett could potentially get comfortable, and hopefully if he gets comfortable, he can start playing good football and be the franchise quarterback that we all hope that he can be moving forward. Now, the only issue with getting a guy like Zac Robinson, who's kind of seen as an up-and-coming offensive mind in the National Football League, is that the Steelers have a defensive head coach in Mike Tomlin. So what that means is if Zac Robinson comes in and he's everything that we hope he is, and he's an awesome offensive coordinator, offensive play caller, all that, all right, and the offense is awesome, and Kenny Pickett blossoms into a good quarterback next year, what's going to happen? He's going to get poached, all right? He is going to be a head coach somewhere in this league by 2025, and then we're right back at square one. The Steelers are going to have to go out and get another offensive coordinator in 2025 if this guy ends up hitting. So that's kind of the only issue with getting a guy like Zac Robinson, but if it means the Pittsburgh Steelers are successful next year, I'm perfectly willing to take that risk. Now, before we go over Cam Heyward and what he had to say about what he would like in the next offensive coordinator for the Pittsburgh Steelers, make sure you guys are subscribed because when the Steelers make this hire, when they hire their new OC, we are going to be going live on the channel. Coop is going to be back. We are going to be dishing it up. We're going to be breaking down their offense, how it fits with Kenny Pickett, all that different stuff. We're going to have an extensive show for you guys when the Steelers make that hire. So make sure you click that subscribe button to never miss any breaking news coverage right here on Steelers Talk this offseason. So now let's talk about Cam Heyward. And for those of you that don't know, Cam actually has his own podcast. And he was on that podcast this week talking about the offensive coordinator opening here in Pittsburgh. And he had some very interesting things to say. And he listed 3 names of potential offensive coordinators that could be favorites. And 2 of them I don't think are realistic possibilities. The only one that he listed that I think is a realistic possibility is Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator for the Washington Commanders. He's good friends with Mike Tomlin. It seems like Bieniemy's name might have been thrown around a little bit in the Steelers building, in the Steelers locker room. Maybe Cam has heard some whispers that Eric Bieniemy could be on the short list, and this is what he had to say on his podcast here about the offensive coordinator search. A guy like Eric Bieniemy, who's had a lot of success in Kansas City, a name that's been talked about not just with the Steelers, talking offensive coordinators in general, is Shane Waldron, Bobby Slowick. I don't like to play GM, but there are some interesting names out there. It's got to be a guy that's able to get a lot of guys involved and lead a group, so it's going to be interesting. So first of all, ouch, because that's definitely a dig at Matt Canada not being able to lead a group. But two of the people that he mentioned in this quote, Shane Waldron and Bobby Slowick, I don't think are gettable for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Shane Waldron definitely isn't, because the Chicago Bears just hired him today to be their OC. And then Bobby Slowick, he's already the offensive play caller there in Houston. He's got a great quarterback in C.J. Stroud. Why would he make a lateral move from Houston to Pittsburgh to be the offensive coordinator here? It just doesn't make any sense. So I'll say this when it comes to Eric Bieniemy. You guys know that I really respect Bieniemy in terms of an offensive play caller. But the reality about his offense is you need somebody to be the quarterback in that system that's a really good mental processor. And that's just not something that Kenny Pickett has shown on tape through the first 2 years of his NFL career. Like, you have to go 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, sometimes even 5 across a formation, spread concepts. You have to be able to read defenses. You have to be able to get the ball in the right spot at the right time. And Kenny Pickett just hasn't really done that all too well throughout his career. I would much rather see Kenny in a true West Coast system where he's under center, play action bootlegs, flood concepts, easy to read stuff for him, because I think that's where he thrives. I think this offense here, that's really hard to stop, by the way. If you got a guy like Patrick Mahomes there in Kansas City, you can just look up the numbers. That offense with Eric Bieniemy and Patrick Mahomes, unstoppable, because Patrick Mahomes can process information faster than just about anybody in the National Football League. But we got a different animal here in Kenny Pickett, and I think he needs probably a little bit more of a simpler offense. So if the hire is Eric Bieniemy, I would say go out and get a different quarterback and replace Kenny Pickett. So let me know down there in the comment section who your guy is. Of course, we're learning more and more about these offensive coordinator candidates by the day. Has your opinion changed since the last time we asked this question? Who do you guys want as the next offensive coordinator of the Pittsburgh Steelers? I would like to see Eric Bieniemy and them replace Kenny Pickett, but it seems like this team is dead set on keeping Pickett. So if that's the case, I'd rather see someone brought in from the McVay or Shanahan tree to kind of simplify things for KP8 next year. Again, just a second reminder here that Chip was really running his mouth today. I really miss Coop, I'm not going to lie. And he was saying that there's no way that we as Steelers fans can upset the Eagles Now crew. 979 likes is a pretty darn good number. Chip's pretty confident in that, but I'm telling you right now, we can beat it. Let's get to 980 likes at least and show the Eagles Now crew who's boss. All right, that's going to be it for me today. Guys, thank you so much for all of your support. If you are a real one and you made it to the end of today's show, make sure you type real one in all caps down there in the comment section to identify yourselves. And I know who the real ones are down there in the comment section. Appreciate all of your guys' support. I'll see you tomorrow for the 2024 perfect offseason plan for the Pittsburgh Steelers. You're not going to want to miss it. Make sure you click that subscribe button. And until then, here we go, Steelers.